Ready. Okay.
In three, two, one, you're live.
Hello. Welcome to Arts and Antiques. I am Bridget Ginter this afternoon, again filling in for Elizabeth Stewart. Today, I'm very excited to welcome Fanny Seimandi, owner of Seimandi et Leprieur, a new gallery located on 33 West Anapamu Street here in Santa Barbara. Seimandi et Leprieur is a contemporary art gallery that was founded in Santa Barbara by Fanny and her husband Julian. They are a couple originally from France. After living in Martinique for about 10 years, they chose to open an exhibition space here in Santa Barbara that is both dynamic and welcoming. They say it reflects their journey, their values, and their long-term commitment to artists. I had the pleasure of visiting the gallery for First Thursday last week, and I love the space and I love the welcoming and all over vibe in general, as well as Fanny herself, who's just a pleasure to talk to. Fanny is a mom, just like me, and we were able to bond over art as well as real life stuff. So, welcome to the program, Fanny. It's nice to have you here.
Thank you very much, Bridget. I'm very honored to be here.
Yeah, this is great. Okay. So let's get right into it and ask some questions. I'd like to know just a little bit about your background in general. I read on your website that you studied at the Sorbonne, which is one of my dreams to do at some point. I love Paris. I mean, I think everyone loves Paris, but I love Paris. I read that you were trained as a lawyer, so I find that also fascinating. So I kind of wanted you to tell me a little bit about your path to the art world and how you ended up in the arts in general.
Yes, thank you very much. My path in the art world is very centered on contemporary art, and I think it began because I grew up in Lyon. I'm not sure
Oh,
I say it
Lyon, yeah.
right.
Yeah. Okay.
And every 2 years in Lyon, there is an incredible contemporary art biennale. And I'm going there with my dad since I'm very little. And so I was introduced to a lot of museums through my parents and the general culture. But for me, this journey into the contemporary art world were very special. Maybe part of the bond that I had with my father. And so we were so stunned by what we saw. And maybe as a child, I was more impressed. But
Yeah.
and there were some
So,
rooms.
sorry to cut you off. Was your dad an artist, or was he just
Not
also
at
just
all.
very
Not
interested
at
in
all.
the arts?
But you know, contemporary art, it leads to so much fascinating discussions and laws, and sometimes we found it totally nonsense, and sometimes we just stood there, and beauty was overwhelming. And I remember one piece of Caderatia. I don't know if you know this French artist. 20 years ago, he presented in Lyon a piece called Flying Rats. It was a room filled with a huge cage with maybe 40 birds and a sculpture of children made of uh, feeding, birds feeding. So that was,
Feeding birds? So children feeding birds in a cage?
yes, the sculpture of children was made of this feeding birds.
Oh my goodness.
The installation was 4 months long, and you could see when you came at the beginning or at the end how the time and the birds made their destruction way. And it was so fascinating when you see that and you're young and you understand the power of contemporary art. And you could stand all day long seeing that and the children being. Uh, you
So
know,
was it like a performance piece then? A a
there
performance
were
piece?
not real children, but,
Okay.
but there were real birds. There were
Real birds. Okay.
and they were eating the children, and the children were like they were playing in the recess court, and that was so strange, but also very beautiful about
Right.
time passing. And for me, this kind of art has the power to wonder you, to make you question, and that's so important. So, of course, I love art. I studied art history, but nothing can be compared to the emotion that you can feel when artists from your time are speaking to you and trying to pass a message. And for me, that.
Right. I love that. Yeah, I've always loved history. So I've always been a little bit more on the historical side looking back. But I also what you're saying really resonates too, because I so appreciate how contemporary artists can be so um, make you reflect on your own time and your relationship to these sort of bigger questions like you said. I don't know if you I've always been interested in Marina uh, let's
Yeah,
see,
Abramovich.
Abramovich and her The Artist Speaks and her um just sitting in front of
Yeah.
uh, different people and even her old partner that she used to do performance art with. And it's very powerful. I remember watching it and I you can kind of tear up. The power of reflection and and art as being something that you're actually experiencing.
Okay.
So yeah, that's awesome. Okay, so your dad was sort of the first person that exposed you to
Yeah.
the arts.
So sometimes my mother wasn't so convinced that every room was well open for a small girl like me, but I think that's what was really good for me. It was everything that could be possible, and so I'm very thankful to for him to that.
Okay.
And later, I really wanted to become a judge, so I'm a very stubborn person, and
Uh-huh.
I did it. But
Yeah.
in the same time, I had still this passion for art, and so I took these studies in art market with Sorbonne. So I earned the master's degree 12 years ago, but I was working in the same time, and I thought it would be only a passion, but then 10 years ago, we did move to La Martinique, and I had really no expectation about art from La Martinique. Honestly, I didn't know Caribbean art, and I wouldn't think that I would have any interest in that. And we were so amazed of everything that we saw and the way the artists use the layers, the textures, every materials that are related to the nature, the colors also, and you know the history of La Martinique. So that's a French department. That's a little island, and there is this strong history about slavery and colonialism. So,
Right.
the artists have a lot to express, and maybe that's what makes this kind of art so strong. And so,
Right. So I actually don't know a lot about Martinique. Maybe can you tell me a little bit, and for those in the audience that don't really know a lot about the culture there, maybe you can fill us in a little bit about why it's interesting and what drew you. And you moved there with your husband, is that
yeah,
correct?
exactly. Uh,
Okay.
I moved there to be a judge.
You
So,
moved there to be a judge, okay. And then it sort of turned into falling in love with the culture and then falling in love. Yeah, okay.
exactly,
I like that.
yeah.
That's beautiful.
Um, so that's an incredible island. The nature is so beautiful, and I think that's what inspired me, the theme of the current exhibition. The theme is Whose Paradise, because it can really feel like a paradise when you come from the western side, and that's what you have as a representation of these islands. But when you live in the inside, the reality is very different. There is isolation because it's an island, and a lot of things are really complicated for the population. But they are creating very, very powerful things. And some of the pieces that you saw, that's a reflection of how, as artists, they can see this notion of paradise. And for example, you know, the big pieces of Ricardo Osier Lafontaine, all black and white.
Right, yes. And maybe you can talk a little bit more about that artist. So Fanny's talking about the new exhibit that is just opened last week for First Thursday and is called Whose Paradise? And it features mainly just the Caribbean artists, and most of them are all of them are based out of Martinique. Is that correct or not?
No, but they have strong connection. Some of them are living in Paris or Barbados, but um, that's the theme of the exhibition. Yes.
And the theme, they're sort of linked by this idea of the Whose Paradise, and have has um a story to tell about the Caribbean and lifestyle. And what I found kind of interesting, not to like totally get on a art historical bend, but this I always think of Gauguin, who fled uh Paris and went to Brittany, where he was trying to find uh a culture that was not touched by consumerism and popular culture, etc. And then he ended up in Tahiti, which he was trying to find this sort of paradise, correct? So
Yeah.
it's sort of a parallel of the artist trying to find their own story of paradise.
Yes.
So right. So maybe you can talk more about this particular artist that works in black and white and
Yeah.
features quite a bit in the show. So talk a little bit about them.
Ricardo, yes, Ricardo is a major artist right now. He has a piece at the headquarters of the United Nations in New York, and it's great that he's recognized for his work. And 12 years ago, he decided to only paint in black and white because he was so tired of the stereotypes against Caribbean artists, you know, that we only imagine that they paint with white colors and oceans and flowers.
Right.
so,
Yeah.
and the two pieces that we are currently showing are called the dragonflies of loving care, and it's like a labyrinth, and he, he made them in 2024 when there was a very difficult time in La Martinique with social unrest, and we were all very tense about it. Children didn't go to school, and we couldn't go outside. There were blockage. I don't know how to say that, but
Uh, so this was going on in Martinique at the time. You said in 2024 there was
yes,
social unrest.
exactly. And Ricardo, he told me he made this because he was alone in his atelier, and he was listening to the radio, and he was suffering, and doing this automatic gesture, very repetitive, was a sort of therapy for him. But he said also therapy for me and for my country also that is suffering. And that's a very beautiful notion, I think.
So it's sort of like a sort of therapy and therapy in a way therapeutic for him to be doing the repetitive motions as sort of working out his
Yeah,
feelings of about the social unrest and the uh,
exactly.
in his community. That's really interesting. I feel like that kind of goes back to like other artists too, that it's kind of about the process kind of more than the end
Yeah,
product in a way, right?
yeah.
Yeah, that's really
And
interesting.
what was your favorite piece of the exhibition, Bridget?
Um, I would have to say two, well, about two in particular really stood out for me. I loved um I loved the works of art by Dora Vital. Um, the ones that I really liked was actually the series of eight. That was the Nocturnal Garden. Um, for some reason, having them all together and the brightness of the flowers, it sort of, I mean, it's very beautiful, and it also kind of reminds me of almost chinoiserie, sort of has that kind of vibe to it. I loved the dark background within these like bright bright pink and then the bright blue hues and how they all kind of work together to um sort of form a story. I found them really beautiful to look at. So I loved her Nocturnal Garden series. I loved her, I think everyone loves this one, but it's sort of this pink, hazy, uh abstract work that she did. I think it's not titled, but it's the big one when you step in. I thought that was beautiful. Um,
It
and
during COVID, and she said to me that she was kind of depressed and anxious because of the time, and she thought the piece would sound anxious and depressed, but for me it's so beautiful.
it's yeah.
The light, and I said, no, I don't see that. Sorry.
Oh, I do not see anxious and depressed at all. I see it to me it feels sort of like whimsical and I don't know, kind of meditative, meditative and whimsical. On her little biography on your website, it says that she draws inspiration from the color harmonies of artists like William Turner and Claude Monet, and I definitely get that sort of impressionist inspired blurring of light and glowiness, like the when you walk in the room, the painting seems to have its own sort of light source that comes from it. And it's also sort of this beautiful pink haziness to it. And I know my 4-year-old would love it. If she came in the gallery, she would be like, "That's my favorite one, Mom." So I like that. And the other artist that I know really stood out to me was the one you took my picture in front of.
Karine
Um,
Villani, yes.
yeah, Karine, say that it's Karine Telame. Is that how you say
Tailame.
Telame? And her works have this beautiful texture to them. And they're also very, very colorful and vibrant. And almost some of them almost look like they are flowers that are appliqued onto the canvas. That, but they have this vibrancy and also this abstraction to it, but they also almost look like butterflies and flowers sort of floating around in this I would say kind of in outer space. There sort of is no space. It's a very neat sort of almost combination of like I said, almost like a textile look.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We love that.
Yeah, I love that. And she has some like larger pieces, but then I also like her smaller pieces that I think they're both called Caribbean Barks, 1 and 2. And I love those. Um do you have any particular ones that were you were specifically excited to share as part of Whose Paradise?
Yes, we also really love the work of Pierre Roy-Camille. He came from the graph world, but also from the design world. And he has this reflection about colonialism, but in a very soft way. And he says that he's more of an observer of this very unnuanced problem, and he wants to bring a nuanced solution to that. And the two pieces that represent memories of the magician are made of old magazine from 1863, and he found this. That's the poster of the exhibition. Uh,
Right.
and so there is then collage and then a lot of layers of spray, and I don't know how he does that, but this is very mysterious at the end. And so we love it, and we will present a solo exhibition of him in March that will be curated by very well-known curator from San Francisco, Natasha Boas. And so that will be very exciting. We hope that Pierre can come to make a performance in the gallery also.
So I'm curious. He has this memories of the magician series. Who is the magician? Is it kind of like a symbol of something, or is
I
it?
know that he said that he was obsessed with Houdini, so
Uh-huh.
has a connection with it, and with the disappearance. The jungle is going on the statue, and maybe
Right.
one time the statue will be not visible anymore. Maybe that you have to let your imagination work.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I just wasn't quite sure if I was missing something or if there was something more to it that I wasn't understanding. I
The
like,
titles of Pierre are complicated. One time I asked him one title and he didn't respond to me.
yeah. I always feel like, as a lot of times with contemporary art, there's either like a clue within the title, or it's just called Untitled and there is no clue. So, but yeah.
And of course, the photographs of Annabelle are very impressive. I don't know if you had the chance to see them close. And so the nature is not decorative, and that's what was very interesting for me with the notion of paradise, is that that is the nature of Martinique, but not as we are used to see it, just raw and no artificial, just very majestuous and very strong, and she's very gifted.
Right. The one that the black and white photographs that she did of the ocean and the clouds, which almost looks like a storm's coming. Those are very majestic, as you said, just very powerful, kind of this idea of the the power of nature, and kind of almost like the concept of the sublime in art. That's what I got from uh her works. So all of the artists are very, very different.
Yeah.
Different different mediums, different feelings are evoked for sure. Some feel more whimsical, some feel more serious, some feel more conceptual, but they're all linked by this idea of whose paradise, and uh, the the Caribbean. So you sort of became, were you interested in Caribbean artists prior to living in Martinique, or was this sort of something that just sort of fell in your
Honestly, I have that as someone growing up in France, you know, maybe France is very is too far away to these islands that are part of France, but we don't know enough, and I felt a little bit guilty when I came in and realized all that these people they were French. We didn't know what they were doing, and that was so incredible. And yes,
So you must be someone that kind of looks for adventure, right? Because that's a big move to go to a little an island after living your life in France, right? Like you were, something was calling you to do something new.
yes. But we didn't thought we would stay 10 years there, but that was very interesting. There were dark times too, you know, the COVID period. We felt very isolated. And I had my baby during this time. That was
Yeah, I had a COVID baby too. So yeah, the hard times for sure having a COVID baby. Yes, I feel you. Um, so what sort of was the impetus, or what made you decide that you were going to pick up from Martinique and come to Santa Barbara and open up this gallery? Was it COVID? Was that the was that sort
yeah.
of the
I think like everything in life, there are many reasons, and I was a judge for 15 years plus 2 years of internship, and last year that the judicial court in Martinique were complicated because the president was accused of embezzlement.
oh gee.
Yes, and there were sessions in the judicial court, and I, I think I should let all that behind me. Julien was in the same state of mind, my husband, so we had this passion. We were convinced that the people in the world needed to discover this artist.
Right.
And so we wanted to go to the United States, but you know, Miami and New York, there were museums and galleries that present some of Caribbean art. So we were thinking that the West Coast would be a place where we would be the first one to show it, and that would be interesting. And we noticed that Santa Barbara was not so fond of contemporary art, and that was maybe a good start.
Yeah, I think it's wonderful because I mean, definitely we need more contemporary art here. And also, I feel like just in the last 10 years, the LA art scene has really grown. And now, just after COVID, there's a lot more um, people that are traveling or have moved up from the LA area to Santa Barbara. So it's sort of like um, a great place to get your foot in the door and start exposing more people to this. Um, so that's awesome. Had you visited Santa Barbara before,
Yes,
or okay?
the previous summer we took a trip with my husband. We led the children to the grandparents, and we did all California. And we found this space was pretty special, a little bit European from the architecture, and so yes, we searched a place. Then we did go to the artist and tell them our project, and we were thinking that they would tell us, "You're totally nuts. You're a judge. You're an engineer."
Yeah.
Why do you want to do that? You don't have a gallery before. And on the contrary, they loved it. They told us, okay, we can feel that you're so passionate about that, that you love what we are doing, that's very strong. And every artist that we proposed to follow us said yes. So that was a sign. And that it was.
So you went for it.
Yes.
Well, we're gonna take a short break right now and come back in a bit, talking with Fanny Seimandi, who is the owner of the Seimandi Leprieur Gallery here in Santa Barbara, 33 West Anapamu Street. So we'll be right back and continue our conversation. Thank you. Is there anything else you're wanting me to ask? I have just a few more questions. I think the end will sneak up on us.
Maybe I was wondering if you could ask me if I want to add something at the end for 3 minutes, because there was something that I would like to say. I won't say before.
Okay, so you want me to say, is there anything else you'd like to say at the end?
Yes.
Okay, I'll add that. And then we're gonna take Richard, we're gonna take one more break and then a 5 minute break, right? So after the 5 minute on the last break, we're gonna take one more break, and then when we take our last break, then I'll ask you that. That's how we'll wrap up. Sound good? Okay.
You think that's okay? I think at the beginning nobody will understand what I was trying to say about Kaderatia.
I think it'll be fine. Here, and oh, Richard, you want me to, what is it? Richard, did you say something? Oh, we're back. Okay.
All right,
Hello.
3, 2, 1, you're
Oh,
live.
okay. Hello, welcome back to Arts and Antiques. I am Bridget Ginter, filling in for Elizabeth Stewart this afternoon. Today we've been talking with Fanny Seimandi, owner of the Seimandi Leprieur Gallery, located on 33 West Anapamu Street here in Santa Barbara. Um, they are a couple and they own an art gallery here. They are originally from France and were living in Martinique for the last 10 years and chose to open up a new exhibition space here in California in Santa Barbara that's both dynamic and welcoming. And I actually had the pleasure of coming to the gallery and seeing their new exhibit, which is entitled Whose Paradise, for First Thursday last week, which was fun. It was exciting. It's a wonderful exhibit that shows the diversity of various artists from the Caribbean, and specifically quite a few artists that are inspired by Martinique or based out of Martinique. Um, the works of art are all very different. Some are colorful, some are photographs, some are a little bit more textural and mixed media, but they're all linked by this idea, which is the concept of the exhibit, which is Whose Paradise. So, you talked a little bit, Fanny, about what made you interested in Caribbean artists, and it was your time in Martinique, and you and your husband decided to move here to California, and you were thinking this would be a great place to get more exposure for Southern Californians to Caribbean artists. Um, how long was this concept sort of in the works before you were able to put together this exhibit? Was it difficult? Was it what was sort of the process? Could walk.
Yes, yes. It's not easy to
It's
change
not.
the life. You have your past, your routine, and it asks a lot of energy. But no, we like it. We are happy about what we are doing right now. It The project grew up 3 years ago, and you know that that was not the actual project.
Right.
There was already other things that are in mind, but the place that we have right now is exactly how we would have liked to make it. So we we wanted that it feels like it's a kind of contemporary art gallery from any big cities in the world, and that we would have the same exigence from how we show pieces, the context, but also the choice of the pieces. And, that's what we want to do. So.
So when someone comes into your gallery space, um what do you want them to leave with after they've come into this space? Do you want them to look at the world in a different way? Do you want them to, what would be your ideas of the, if someone were to walk in and look around your gallery space, what are your hopes for someone to get from it?
I don't know, maybe to feel good like I feel when I go to a nice museum or a beautiful gallery, to think a little bit more of what he saw, and not just forget about it in the next 5 minutes. And yes, we want to bring beautiful things, and also things that the people from here wouldn't have experienced other ways. So we know that there is a strong tradition of Californian landscape art, and we know that what we bring is very different, and we don't say that it's better, but just we want the people to open up to that, to this experience, and yes, to feel it, and to know that exists.
Right.
Yeah.
Um, I also want to ask you, um, a well, it's not a super personal question, but we're both moms. How do you navigate all the demands of having your own art gallery with being a mom?
Yes, that I think being a mom as a judge was maybe more difficult because of the late viewing. And was, I wish I could be more present back in the days. Right now, it's more the entrepreneurial thing that's kind of complicated. We have a lot of discussion. We are constantly trying to make things evolve, and so that's very interesting. And the children are necessarily witnesses to that. I think that's very cool. My grandparents had a jewelry store, and I love that the way that we were talking about the clients and everything. And so, and they are part of the process of the installation of the exhibition. They have strong opinion about the artist.
Right.
That's
Yeah.
fun. So
I
that's a family business. So we love that. But before the launch of this second exhibition, there was a little, they were a little bit tired of going to the gallery, and we were so perfectionist with Julien. And they said, "Oh no, you take too much time to do that."
Right.
But after that, they saw the opening night that was so fun with the live concert, and they really liked it, to feel the atmosphere, the vibes, a lot of people. And I think that's good for them to see that we work a lot to make it happen. And yeah, then
yeah, it must be really satisfying being able to work and then really see the results of your hard work and then be able to share it with your children and they see the final product. Yeah.
yeah.
Um, Do you have any other exhibits that are in the works currently? And uh, if if so, would you like to share about them, or uh, do
So
you do you want to get into that?
unveil all of our program because we have an agenda for the next 2 years, but it has to stay full of surprises. But in December, you said you loved the work of Dora Vital, and Dora will have a solo exhibition, but it will be so different because for this exhibition I choose only nocturnal art pieces, and it will be the opposite in December, so very bright pieces because she's a painter of the light, and you will see, love it. And I will co-curate this exhibition with the local photographer. Local, she's not from here, but it's Jane Yuang Bogan, and she's very implanted in Santa Barbara. She's very followed on Instagram, and she works a lot with flowers and compost floral composition.
Oh,
And
that sounds beautiful.
yes, and so she found the work of Dora was full of resonance with our own work. Um, you will see what she's doing. Jenny Montecito on Instagram, and she only photographs women, and she seeks the moment of vulnerability, of intimacy, and that is very impressive what she does. So we will co-curate that, and she has a lot of ideas to organize some events around the exhibition. And then in March, we will have this solo exhibition of Pierre Wakami, and that will be very interesting to and
Awesome.
then you'll
Well, we're gonna take one more quick little break, and then we will be back talking to Fanny and wrapping up our show. So stay tuned. We'll be right back.
3, 2, 1. 4 minutes. You're live.
Okay. Hello, welcome back to Arts and Antiques. I am Bridget Ginter, filling in for Elizabeth Stewart this afternoon. Today we are talking with Fanny Seimandi, the owner of Seimandi Leprieur, a gallery that is located here in Santa Barbara on Anapamu Street. We've been talking about her new exhibit, which is called Whose Paradise, and that opened last week, and I had the pleasure of going to it at First Thursday, and it was extremely lively and fun. So wrapping up here, we're just gonna talk to Fanny a little bit more, and I wanted to ask you if there's anything else you wanted to add in this last little segment that we haven't talked about.
Oh, yes, Bridget, thank you very much. Yes, I just want to say to the people that they really are welcome in the gallery because we are a little bit surprised sometimes to see a lot of people staying on the outside of the gallery and looking with their hands on the window, and we are making some with the team some welcoming body language, but I don't think that they dare to come, and we think it's a little bit sad because we brought these pieces for the people to see it, and they did a long journey through the ocean.
Right.
And a friend of mine that's American, she explained to me that when she comes to Paris, there are a lot of galleries that are open, and she knows that she can go there and spend 5 minutes and she says to me that here in Santa Barbara, she doesn't do that because it's only when you are invited to an event. And so maybe to say, please come, and we really want you to experience it. And maybe you won't like it, but take 5 minutes of your time and come see. And most of the time we are working and we are not talking to people. So
I love that, and I think that's a message too. Like, I think some people, especially if they haven't had a lot of exposure to the arts, they can get kind of intimidated and just be wanting to look from the outside and be like, oh, am I welcome in here? And I think that's sort of a lesson for everyone that, we just need more art in our life. And the more you have art in your life, the more it expands your world and the more comfortable you get being around art and talking about art and sharing about art. Art is all about connecting with people. So I am glad you brought that up, and I want to tell our listeners and tell your listeners, tell your friends, please come visit Fanny's gallery. Not just for first Thursday, but next first Thursday come out too. But come see this exhibit, Who's Paradise, which is currently on view there. And again, the location is 33 West Anna Pamu Street. The name of the gallery is Seimandi Leprieur, which is very, very French, and I'm trying to pronounce it as best I can. And but you'll be able to find it. And is there you all have a website,
Yes,
and do you have an Instagram as well? Or
exactly. Our Instagram is Seimandi Leprieur, all attached. And you can follow us on Facebook also. So we will
awesome.
be.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Fanny. You've been so much fun to talk to. And again, I encourage everyone to go to their gallery.
Thank you very much, Richard.
Thank you.